This is Sean Barrett. It's 6:43 a.m., and I'm still here at WRCK, broadcasting from what's left of North Platte, Nebraska. The sky's the color of mud, and the wind hasn't stopped howling since sometime after midnight. I don't hear birds anymore. I haven't in weeks. It's 92 degrees already, and it's barely morning. The asphalt outside is cracked, like it's been baking in an oven for months. It smells like dust, burnt rubber, and dried sweat. That's what the world smells like now. There's no grass, there's no green, just brown, gray, and the occasional shimmer of heat coming off an empty parking lot. What's the last thing you saw? Smoke? Silence? Soldiers? Comment your report like we're logging every broadcast. I'm sitting in this tiny station, running on the last backup generator we've got hooked to a salvaged solar rig and a half-dead battery bank. I've got the fans off to save juice, so it's hot as hell in here. Feels like I'm melting in my seat, but the signal's still holding. For now. If you can hear this, any of you, I hope you're still okay. I really do. I'm not even sure if anyone is listening anymore. It feels like I'm talking to ghosts. We lost the main grid last Thursday. No warning. The lights just blinked once and went out, and they haven't come back. They said the power would be spotty for a while due to demand, but no one really said what was coming. It wasn't just us either. First, it was a rolling brownout. Then the phones dropped. Then the water slowed to a trickle. And then nothing. All within 3 days. People panicked like it was a storm. That first night, I remember walking down A Street and hearing nothing but screaming generators and people standing in the street, confused, holding their phones up to the sky like maybe the signal would come back if they aimed it just right. But it wasn't the power outage that did it. That was just the start. It was the heat that came after, not the usual kind, not summer heat. This is something else, something deeper. It's in the soil. The earth feels hollow, like it's given up, like it's done trying. I used to live in a little duplex with a patch of crabgrass out front. Tried growing tomatoes last spring. Didn't get a single one. The dirt wouldn't hold water. It just sat there, dry and cracked. We had warnings, sure. Reports from the USDA, climate guys on TV. They said groundwater was running low, aquifers draining, wells dipping into nothing. But nobody really believed it. Not here. Not in the middle of the country. Not where corn used to grow so high you could get lost in it. But the corn's gone now. Soy's gone too. The fields are dead. Just dry husks. The farmers around here, people I've known since I was a kid, some of them just walked away. One guy out in Hershey took a shotgun to his own irrigation rig and then put it under his chin. I'm not going to say his name. His wife still lives around here. She's trying to take care of their daughter without running water. I saw her yesterday, pushing a wheelbarrow full of empty milk jugs toward the old fire station, hoping there'd be a drop left in the tank. I wish I had better news. I really do. But this ain't something we're bouncing back from in a couple of weeks. I think deep down, we all knew it was coming. The air feels like it's turned against us. There's a layer of dust on everything. Not like the kind you wipe off a shelf, but the kind that gets into your lungs, makes your throat feel like sandpaper. I haven't seen rain in 32 days. That's how long I've been keeping track. We used to complain about floods, about storms. Now people would kill to see clouds. I don't have all the answers. I'm just a radio guy. My job used to be spinning records, reading weather reports, and making dumb jokes during the morning drive. Now it's just this, talking to a dead airwave, hoping someone's still out there. If you're hearing this and you're somewhere within range, I want you to know you're not alone. Not completely. I'm still here. And as long as I can keep this rig alive, I'll keep talking. I'll tell you what I know, what I see, what people are doing to hang on. There's no real news anymore. No papers. No CNN. Just rumors and desperation. But I'll give you what I can. Right now, I'm hearing that down in Oklahoma, the reservoirs are completely dry. There's a rumor that Texas has started rationing bottled water through the National Guard, but no one can confirm it. Arizona's been silent for days. No chatter, not even emergency signals. A friend of mine, Greg, he used to work with the Army Corps of Engineers, retired 5 years ago. I caught him on the ham radio 2 nights back. He told me this isn't just a drought. Said the water tables have collapsed. Like the spongy layers underground that hold moisture have been drained beyond recovery. He said that once those go, there's no way to bring them back. Not without rain. Years of it. Maybe decades. And we're not getting any. The jet streams moved. Permanently, he thinks. Said something about the polar vortex shifting and never returning. Said we pushed it too far, and now the Earth's resetting itself without us in mind. I don't know if he's right. I'm not a scientist. But looking out my window, I believe it. There's no dew in the mornings, no insects buzzing. It's like the world is holding its breath. The weirdest part? The silence. Not the kind you get when things are calm, but the kind that creeps into your bones. The kind that feels wrong. The kind you feel in your chest. No dogs barking, no kids playing. Just the occasional hum of a solar-powered fridge, or the groan of an overloaded inverter. And at night, just the wind, always the wind. It's like the world is whispering, but you can't make out what it's saying. I've been boiling water over a wood stove just to make coffee. Used to be, I couldn't start the day without it. Now it's the only thing that makes me feel halfway human. I traded a pack of batteries for a half bag of old beans from a guy on the West End. Said he scavenged it from a shut-down diner. Tastes like burnt cardboard. But I don't care. It's warm. And it's something. If you're out there and you've still got a roof and something to eat, hold on to that. Seriously. It's more than most people have right now. A lot of folks left town. Headed east or west, thinking they'd find something better. I don't think they did. I saw a convoy of trucks get stuck outside Kearney last week. Some had kids in the back. Their tires melted into the asphalt. Literally. One guy tried pushing his truck out with his hands. Burned his palms to hell. The road's not safe anymore. Not just because of the heat, but because people are getting desperate. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm just saying, if you're planning on leaving, you'd better know where you're going and why. The cities aren't better. From what I've heard, Chicago's been under martial law for 2 weeks. No trucks in or out. Power grids down. Hospitals overflowing. People are being turned away from ERs with heat stroke. I heard a nurse in St. Louis fainted from dehydration on the job. Nobody came to replace her. We're not built for this. We weren't ready. And now, we're all scrambling to figure out what survival really looks like. Stay with me. I'll be back later today. I've got a few updates on local water sources where you might still find some supplies, and maybe some ways we can start organizing. Not just surviving, but figuring out how to live again. Somehow. This is Sean Barrett. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. If you are too, hang in there. It's just after 3:15 in the afternoon now. The temperature's climbed past 106, and I've got all the blinds drawn in here. Still feels like my skin's cooking under a magnifying glass. The The paint on the outside of the station door started to bubble. I've never seen that before, not even in the worst Julys. There's this warped kind of light coming through the cracks, like it's too bright, but not really white. More like the sun's bleeding into everything, turning everything this dull, washed-out yellow. And there's a smell, like copper and smoke mixed with hot plastic. It sticks in your throat. If you're listening to me from anywhere outside right now, I hope you found some shade and a way to cool off. I hope you're not walking. Don't be walking in this. It's not heat you sweat through. This kind takes something out of you you don't get back. I stepped out earlier to check the solar panels. Had to brush off another layer of dust and ash that's been settling like snow. There haven't been any fires nearby that I know of, but the sky's full of soot. That's how dry it is. Fires don't need trees anymore. They burn through old tires, fences, power poles, anything left standing. I saw what looked like a storm cloud out east, but it was just another dust spiral picking up over the highway ruins. You could see debris twisting in it, bits of signposts, maybe even someone's shingles. A part of me thought I saw a lawn chair spinning in the air. I blinked, and it was gone. It's like the land is tired of holding still, like it wants to shake everything off. No new word from any official channels, still no signal from NOAA, FEMA, or anything resembling an organized update. I'm guessing whatever's left of the government is busy trying to keep the coasts from tearing each other apart. Last I heard from someone driving in from Kansas City, they'd seen military vehicles setting up checkpoints around the interstate, but no one was talking. Just rifles, masks, and silence. The kind that makes you feel like if you ask the wrong question, you won't get an answer. You'll just stop existing. People are starting to build their own rules now. Bartering's replacing money. You walk around town and see hand-painted signs offering a gallon of water for a half bottle of rubbing alcohol or a working flashlight. I traded my last 2 AA batteries for a jug of well water. Don't know how deep the well was, or how clean, but it didn't smell like rot, and it hasn't made me sick. Yet. That's the standard now. If it doesn't make you sick within a day, it's probably safe. There's this family living out of a school bus parked behind the old Sonic drive-in. The windows are all blacked out with duct tape and cardboard. I walked past earlier and heard them praying. Not loudly, just soft, like whispering into their own hands. That kind of quiet makes me nervous, like they're trying to convince themselves someone's still listening. I went past what used to be a grocery store yesterday. Windows busted, shelves picked clean. Not just food, everything. Medicine, bleach, dog food, anything with a label still readable. Some folks have taken to smashing vending machines for the coins, like maybe one day the banks will come back and honor them. But you can't eat a quarter. You can't drink dollar bills. It's just metal and paper now. We're watching value fall apart in real time. All the stuff we built society around. Stock markets, credit cards, app subscriptions. It's nothing now. The people who knew how to grow things, fix things, build things, they're the ones who matter. Everyone else is just catching up, trying to remember what their great-grandparents used to do when things broke, and there wasn't a hotline or a technician to call. Yesterday, I saw a kid riding a bike with no tires. Just metal rims grinding on the pavement. He didn't even care. He was smiling. I think he was just happy it still moved. It's strange how the younger ones adapt faster. They're not mourning what they lost like the rest of us. They're too young to know what they missed. I think about water a lot these days. Used to be something I ran while brushing my teeth without even thinking. Left it running when I filled a pot. spilled it on the floor and didn't care. Now I pour with both hands like it's medicine. I've got a 5-gallon drum under the station's eaves to catch any condensation or rain if it ever comes. So far it's only gathered dust and a few dead flies. But I still check it. Every morning. Just in case. There's a rumor going around about a water caravan heading up from southern Colorado. Supposedly, there's a filtration rig being pulled by a converted diesel truck, and a crew that's trading jugs for tools, seeds, even books. No one I know has seen it. But hope's like that now. Thin, frayed, passed from one mouth to another until it barely holds shape. But we still tell the story. We have to. I think the hardest part, besides the heat, is not knowing how bad it is out there. I mean really out there. Past what I can see from this rooftop or hear through my old ham set. No satellites, no radar, no way to map the damage. Is New York still standing? Did Seattle go dark? Is there anyone left broadcasting west of the Rockies? Or is it just me and static? Sometimes I dream I'm in a boat, just drifting. Ocean everywhere, flat and silent. No sun, just a dull red sky. And I can hear voices, but I can't find them. They're behind the horizon. I wake up sweating, gasping for air like I've been underwater. I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think this is something we're bouncing back from. This isn't a blip. This isn't a phase. This feels permanent, like something's changed in the bones of the earth itself. And maybe we don't fix it. Maybe we just survive it, if we can. Still, I'm gonna try and make a list, things people are doing that seem to help. Maybe it'll be useful to someone. 1. Find shade. Even if it's just an umbrella, a broken awning, the shell of a truck. Anything that blocks that sun will make a difference. 2. Ration water like it's gold. Don't trust your thirst. Measure it. Mark your bottles. People are sweating more than they realize, and dehydration sneaks up fast. 3. Sleep during the day if you have to. Move at night. The heat's not just deadly, it's exhausting. Better to stay still when the sun's angry and work when it's not trying to boil you from the inside. 4. Community matters. I know everyone's scared. I know some people have done awful things already. But the only way we get through this is together. You share a little food today. Someone might fix your generator tomorrow. You give someone a match. They might save your kid with it later. Doesn't always happen that way. But sometimes it does. And right now, sometimes is better than never. I'll be on again tomorrow if the battery holds. If this signal's still alive and I haven't gone quiet. If you hear me, just know I'm still trying. I'm still watching the sky, waiting for clouds that don't come. I'm still holding on, and I hope you are too. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK, still here in North Platte. Stay safe, stay smart, stay human. It's morning again. Day 2 of me talking into this mic with no way to know who's on the other end, or if anyone even is. It's 7:09 a.m., and the station thermometer reads 89 degrees. That's nearly 10 degrees hotter than it was this time yesterday. I barely slept. The inside of the station felt like a sealed can left on a stove. I laid on the floor with a wet rag on my forehead and tried not to move. Still woke up with a bloody nose. The air's dry enough to crack skin now. Lips, hands, the inside of your nose. It all just splits if you don't stay ahead of it. I've been drinking water like it's a countdown. 1 small cup every 2 hours. Any more than that, and I start panicking. I won't have enough for tomorrow. Someone left a note taped to the side of the front door during the night. It was scrawled in faded ink on a pizza box flap. No name, just, "Heard you last night." Keep talking. We're still listening. I don't know who it was. I didn't hear them come or go. But I can't explain what that did to me. Just knowing that someone, anyone, is still out there, still listening, still holding on. It made this whole thing feel less like I'm yelling into a void and more like maybe I'm helping. Even just a little. So yeah, I'll keep talking. I'll burn through every last watt of this busted up solar rig until the battery's dead or my throat gives out. I walked a little farther than I usually do this morning. Past the gas station on 9th and into the neighborhood behind the old high school. Used to be a nice place. Tree-lined streets, kids' bikes left out on lawns, those goofy little flags people put in gardens. Now it's just brown lawns, empty driveways, and silence. A lot of houses are boarded up, not just the windows, front doors too. Some folks nailed up signs that say, "We don't have water," like it's a warning or a plea, or maybe both. One house had a spray-painted message across the garage. "We're not dead." I stood there staring at it for a while, trying to decide whether it was supposed to be reassuring or desperate. Maybe both again. I did see one woman dragging a hose between two garbage cans. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. We nodded at each other, didn't say a word. Just two strangers trying to survive without making eye contact too long. That's the new rule. Don't linger. Don't ask questions. Everyone's got secrets now, and not the kind they used to have. These are the heavy kind. The kind you carry in your back pocket like a last resort. Word around town is someone found a busted fire hydrant that's still leaking near the rail yard. People have been showing up with coolers and empty paint buckets, trying to scoop what little dribbles out. It's barely a trickle, and who knows how contaminated it is, but it's something. That's the measure now. Not, is it good, but is it something? Yesterday, I mentioned Greg, the Army Corps guy. He managed to reach me again on the ham. Shortwave's getting harder to work with, more interference, more dead spots, but we got a brief window around midnight. He says the government knew about the groundwater collapse years ago. They tried to model the consequences, but the numbers didn't make sense. Too extreme. So they dismissed them, called them outliers, said, unlikely scenario. But now, the unlikely scenario is the only one left. He said the Ogallala Aquifer, the one that stretches from South Dakota all the way down to Texas, is done. That's it. There's no coming back, no recharging it. Even if we got rain, even if the weather turned tomorrow, it'd take centuries to refill. And we don't have centuries. We don't even have seasons anymore. He also told me something else, something I haven't stopped thinking about. He said, "You're not living through a drought. You're living through the collapse of a system pretending it wasn't already dead." That's a heavy thing to hear at 1 a.m. I sat there in the dark after we lost the signal, just turning that over in my head. Maybe that's what all of this is. A slow unmasking of the lie we built everything on, that there'd always be more. More rain, more food, more time. But now the more is gone, and all we're left with is less. I passed by the elementary school on my way back. The windows are busted out, probably for ventilation. There were people inside, not kids, adults, squatters maybe, or just families who had nowhere else to go. One woman was stirring something in a steel pot over a makeshift stove made from bricks and a metal grate. The smell was sharp, bitter, like boiled weeds or roots. I don't know what she was cooking, but the others were watching her like it was the only thing that mattered in the world. And maybe it was. Food's disappearing faster than anything else. Even the old storm shelters and basements people stocked up last year are being emptied. Some of the cans are rusted through. Mice got to others. But still, people hoard what they can. A half bag of rice is worth more than $100 now. If you've got salt, you're rich. If you've got sugar, you're untouchable. And seeds. God seeds. Those are the new currency. Not just any seeds, heirloom, non-GMO, the kind that grow without needing chemical help. People are trading tools for a handful. I saw a man hand over a pocket knife for 6 sunflower seeds. Said he remembered his grandmother growing them in coffee cans on the porch. Said he was going to try. I didn't have the heart to tell him the soil's too dead now, but maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe something will grow after all. I keep thinking about something I read years ago, back when I still had a phone, and internet and all that. It was about this concept called wet bulb temperature. Basically, it's when the humidity and heat get so bad, your body can't cool down by sweating anymore. You just cook from the inside out. The article said a wet bulb temp of 35 degrees Celsius, or 95 degrees Fahrenheit with full humidity, is lethal, even for healthy people. You can't survive it. I think we're getting close to that now. Some afternoons feel like I'm walking through soup. I've seen 3 people collapse in the last week. One of them never got back up. But I also saw something else. Yesterday evening, right before sunset, if you can still call it that with all the smoke in the sky, I saw a kid setting up a mirror to reflect sunlight into a big plastic jug covered with black fabric. He said he was making a solar still. Said he saw it in a book. He was maybe 12. Said his grandpa taught him how. And sure enough, there was a trickle of condensation collecting at the bottom. Not a lot. Maybe enough for a sip. But it was water. Real water. From nothing but sunlight and plastic. That kid might be smarter than half the people I know with college degrees. It gave me a weird feeling in my chest. Not quite hope. Not quite pride. Something messier. Like maybe we're not entirely lost. Like maybe, just maybe, the kids aren't doomed to repeat our mistakes. Maybe they'll write their own story instead. All right. Battery's blinking again, and I've got to save some for tonight's update. I'll check back in around dusk, if the sun hasn't cooked the panels clean by then. Until then, stay cool if you can, stay quiet if you need to, and hold on to the good. Even if it's just 1 sip of clean water, or 1 sunflower seed. This is Sean Barrett. Still breathing. Still broadcasting. Still here. It's just past 8:30 in the evening now. The sun's gone down, or at least it's hiding behind that endless orange-brown smear that hangs over the sky like someone rubbed dirt into a bruise. It didn't cool off much, maybe dropped from 106 to 97. I've got every window open in the station, but the air coming in is like a hairdryer. Dry, loud, and full of grit. My mouth tastes like rust. I've had the same bottle of water sitting beside me all day, and I'm down to the last quarter. I'm afraid to drink it. Afraid I won't find more. But I figured I should still check in. Even if the signal's weaker at night. Even if there's more static than signal. Even if no one's left to hear me. I keep thinking about that note from this morning. The one someone left on the door. We're still listening. I hold on to that. I read it again a few minutes ago. Just needed to see the words again. There's this tension in the air tonight. More than usual. I walked through town earlier, just around sunset, and it felt like everyone was holding their breath. No one was talking. No radios playing. No banging of tools or distant generators. Just quiet, heavy and strange. I passed a group of people sitting on their porch steps. An older man, 2 women, and a kid. They were staring at nothing. Just staring. Eyes glassy, like they were watching the end of a movie they didn't understand. Like maybe they were waiting for something. I don't know what. Maybe they didn't either. I stopped by the library on 4th Street. Used to be one of the only places with working air conditioning before the power cut out. Now it's just another hollow building with glass doors propped open by bricks. But people are gathering there, not for books, though some are reading, but just for shade and silence. It's become a kind of shelter. There's a woman named Denise who started organizing it. She used to be a teacher, I think. Maybe retired. She's got a clipboard and a whistle, and this sharp voice that cuts through all the hopelessness. She's keeping people busy, cleaning the floors, collecting scraps of wood, distributing whatever canned food comes through the doors. She told me something today that stuck with me. Said, "We need order before hope. Hope's fragile. Order gives it a place to live." I think she's right. The chaos out there, it eats at people, makes them paranoid, makes them selfish. But if there's someone who knows what to do, even if they're just guessing, people follow that. They need something to hold on to. She's trying to start a water rotation system. Each family gets a number. Each number gets a window to fill their bottles from whatever trickles in. If the well gives anything. If the barrels catch anything. If. That word keeps showing up everywhere. If we get more rain. If the panels hold. If the food stretches. If the diesel lasts. We're living in if now. I saw a guy today trying to hotwire a riding lawnmower. I don't even think he wanted to ride it. I think he just wanted the engine, or the battery, or the belt. Everything's worth something if you know how to take it apart. On the edge of town, there's an old truck stop that someone's turned into a trade post. It's not official. There's no sign or rules. But people gather there with whatever they've got. I saw someone trading a bucket of nails for a jar of peanut butter. Another guy swapped a broken tablet for a gallon of gas. Doesn't even matter if the tablet works. People just want parts, screens, wires, batteries. Even broken things carry the weight of potential. I brought some extra fuses from the station's storage closet to see what I could get. Traded for a small solar-powered lamp. It's not much, but at least it means I can see what I'm writing after dark. I use it sparingly. The light's blue and weak, but it's still light. Some nights that's all I need. A little patch of brightness in this gray world. I heard someone crying behind the old diner while I was walking back. A man, maybe in his 40s, curled up beside a pile of cardboard boxes. He was trying to be quiet, but I could hear it. That sound. The one where someone's trying not to fall apart, but the pain's leaking out anyway. I thought about going over, saying something. But what do you say anymore? It's going to be okay? That'd be a lie. I understand? No, I don't. We're all hurting in ways that don't match up. I just kept walking. I hate myself for that. But I didn't have anything to offer him except another broken voice. I guess that's part of the collapse, too. Not just the loss of water or power, but the loss of words, the loss of things to say. I've been on radio most of my life. Words were always what I had. But now, they feel thin, weak, like dry leaves blowing around an empty parking lot. Still moving, but not going anywhere. I wish I could give you more than this. I wish I could say, help is coming, or there's a convoy on the way. But I haven't heard anything new. Not from Greg, not from the shortwave. Just silence and static. If you're out there, and you've still got your breath in your chest. Just keep holding it one day longer. That's all this is now. One day longer. Don't think in months. Don't even think in weeks. Think in hours, in sips of water, in shadows that offer just enough cool to survive until sunset. I'll be here again in the morning, if I still have power, if nothing else gives out, if the batteries hold. This is Sean Barrett, still here, still talking, still waiting for rain. Morning again, day 3. It's 6:51 a.m., and the station's battery made it through the night. Barely. I woke up to the inverter beeping its warning tone, just a soft little alarm in the dark, the kind that normally means your coffee's done, or you forgot to unplug something. Now it means you might not be able to speak to the world today. I had to take apart the backup charger and clean the contacts with steel wool just to get a few extra hours out of it. I don't know how many mornings I've got left before the whole thing gives out, but for now, it's still holding on. Like me. I stepped outside about half an hour ago, and the heat hit me like it was personal. Not just hot, angry, like the sun was out for revenge. The sidewalk's starting to crack in wide, ugly veins. You can see little curls of blacktop peeling up like it's trying to escape. Everything smells like melting rubber and rotting trash. Something died behind the hardware store. I didn't look. I don't have the energy for that kind of grief today. There's a strange kind of quiet that comes with this kind of collapse. Not peaceful, just hollow. Like a balloon with a slow leak. The kind of silence where even birds don't bother. I haven't heard one chirp since last week. No crows, no sparrows. Just the occasional drone of a distant engine and the wind sweeping dust around in circles. I walked past the community bulletin board downtown, or what's left of it. Half the paper notices have blown off or curled into brittle scrolls. But one stood out. Someone wrote, "Where is God?" in big black marker, right across a missing person flyer. Just smeared it across the face of some teenage boy who disappeared last month. I stopped and stared at it, not in anger, not in shock, just something deeper. That question isn't just a question anymore. It's a scream, and no one's answering. People are trying to make sense of all this in their own ways. I saw a group gathered in the parking lot of the post office last night. Maybe a dozen of them, passing around a Bible and whispering prayers. But it didn't look hopeful. It looked scared, like they were trying to bargain with something that stopped listening a long time ago. I get it. I really do. I've asked my own questions. Sitting in this sweatbox of a radio room, talking to no one, I've asked them out loud. Why this? Why now? Why us? And every time, all I get back is static and the creak of sun-warped floorboards. I don't think there's going to be a moment where the clouds part and someone explains it all. I think we're past explanations. Now it's just survival. I want to tell you what I saw this morning. Something small, but it stayed with me. I was cutting across the alley behind the community garden, which, by the way, is nothing but dead stalks and cracked beds now, and I saw this little girl, maybe 8 years old. She was crouched by the curb, holding a plastic water bottle with no cap. She was scraping condensation off the inside of a car window with her finger and letting it drip into the bottle, carefully, slowly, like she was gathering diamonds. She had dirt on her face, and her hands were shaking, but she didn't spill a drop. I didn't say anything, didn't want to scare her, just kept walking. But I'll never forget that. That image is burned into me. That's who we're fighting for. That's who can't afford for us to give up. There's another rumor floating around. Heard it from 2 different people now. Supposedly, there's a government convoy coming up from Denver. Not official, not military, just old FEMA trucks, volunteers, people with clipboards and masks. They're supposed to be setting up mobile treatment tents for heat stroke and water sickness. No one's seen them, no proof. Just another maybe. But we're clinging to maybes now like lifelines. One guy said his cousin saw them near Sterling, Colorado. Said they had water barrels and were handing out tablets for purification. Another said they're already gone, looted, burned. People can't tell stories straight anymore. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe lies are easier to carry than the truth. If you're hearing this, and you're anywhere between here and the Rockies, keep an eye on the roads. If they're real, they might pass through. If they're not, well, you're no worse off than you were yesterday. That's the cruel thing about hope now. It doesn't cost anything but your heart. The solar rig on the station roof is holding up better than I thought. One of the panels has a crack running through the middle, probably from that windstorm 2 weeks ago, but it's still feeding a trickle. I've got 2 car batteries hooked up in parallel. It's a Frankenstein setup, but it works. For now. I've been rationing the charge, just enough to run the signal and the emergency light in the hallway. I sleep on the floor next to the transmitter now, just to hear its little hum. It's the only sound that tells me I still matter to someone out there. There's an old man named Ray who's been scavenging batteries from abandoned cars. He brings them in and I charge them for a few hours using what I've got. We trade. He gives me canned peaches. I give him a few amps. He says he's trying to power an old oxygen machine for his wife. Says she can't breathe at night without it. He asked if I knew how long a battery would run it. I didn't have the heart to tell him not long enough. But Ray keeps showing up. Keeps trying. That's what we do now. We keep trying. Even when we know the math doesn't work. Even when we know the water won't last, and the sky won't change, and the ground's too dry to bury anything in. I keep thinking about that, how the ground itself feels wrong, dead. You kick up a clod of dirt, and it crumbles like ash. No worms, no roots, just dust. I read somewhere once that healthy soil is full of life. Microbes, fungi, tiny bugs. It's alive in ways we can't see. But this dirt? This isn't soil. This is the corpse of a planet that forgot how to grow. I don't want to end this update on a note of despair. I really don't. But I'm not going to lie to you either. I can't. The truth is, things are worse than yesterday, and they might be worse tomorrow. But that doesn't mean we stop. That doesn't mean we shut up and wait to die. It means we take each breath like it's a promise. It means we scrape water off windshields and teach kids how to use mirrors and plastic and old soda bottles to make it clean. It means we look at cracked sidewalks and still try to plant seeds in them, even if we know they won't sprout. It means we talk, even when it hurts, even when there's no one answering back. We talk. We hold the line. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK, North Platte, still here. It's 5:37 a.m. I've been up for hours. Couldn't sleep. The station floor was too hot, and the windows were rattling all night like something wanted in. The wind's picking up again. It's dry but angry, like it's dragging pieces of the desert across town in big, invisible fists. I saw a trash can fly down the street last night. Not roll, fly. Like someone kicked it with a vengeance. The lid spun off and smashed into a windshield. No alarms went off. Nothing goes off anymore. We're past the point of warning systems. The thermometer on the wall says 86 already, and the sun hasn't even climbed above the roofline yet. The concrete outside still glows faintly from the heat it held overnight. You can feel it rise off the street like steam, but there's no moisture in it. Just raw heat, pushing upward, clawing at everything it touches. I think even the buildings are sweating. I spent some time yesterday organizing the supplies left in the back room. Not much. 3 cans of black beans, a half tube of peanut butter, a few bottles of electrolyte powder I found behind a broken vending machine. Some of the labels are worn off, but I'm not picky anymore. If it doesn't smell like vinegar or bleach and it doesn't fizz when I open it, I eat it. That's the rule now. Forget expiration dates. Everything expired the day the rain stopped. The town's quieter than usual. I didn't see anyone this morning, not even Ray. His oxygen rig probably drained the battery overnight, or maybe he's just too tired to move. I don't blame him. There are days I feel like if I sit down too long, I'll become part of the floor. Like the heat will sink me into the concrete until I disappear. But I keep moving. I keep broadcasting. I keep hoping. There's something I haven't talked about yet. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know how. But I think it's time. People need to hear the truth, even if it hurts. A week before the power went out for good, we got a shipment in town. Quiet, no press, no fanfare. Just a plain white truck with government plates and a couple of guys in masks and gloves. They dropped off 6 black crates and left without saying a word. One of the guys I know who works maintenance at the city hall said they were marked Emergency Water Ration System, Level C. Whatever that means. Level C probably stands for Don't Get Your Hopes Up. 2 of those crates went missing the next night. No one saw anything. No security. No trail. Just gone. People said maybe the government took them back, or maybe someone with bolt cutters and nothing to lose found a way in. Either way, we never saw them again. The 4 crates that were left, one of them was opened by the mayor in front of a small crowd the next morning. Inside were plastic sleeves of powdered water purification chemicals, a few dozen plastic jugs, and printed instructions with typos. Someone tried to photocopy the same page 5 times and thought that counted as a manual. The ink was so smudged you could barely read it. And no one knew how to use half of it. The chemicals had numbers on them, but no ratios, no guidance. Just add to source. Wait. Filter people got sick. One man's kid threw up for 2 days straight after drinking a jug they treated. Others didn't even bother. They just drank what they had and hoped. When I heard about it, I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. You can send crates halfway across the country, but you can't include a clear set of instructions? So now, 3 of those crates are still locked up inside the courthouse, guarded by 2 men with shotguns. No one's allowed to touch them, not without permission. Not without going through the new ration board. That's a thing now, by the way. A ration board. 5 people who meet in what used to be the planning office. They sit in the dark with flashlights and take turns saying who gets what. A bottle here, a can there, everything logged in a notebook with a pencil that's been chewed halfway through. There's no real power there, just the illusion of fairness. And maybe that's all that's keeping the town from ripping itself apart. I get it. I do. When everything falls apart, people grab onto anything that still looks like a rule. Even if the rule is broken, even if it's made up on the spot. Because having rules, even bad ones, is better than chaos. It keeps the monster from coming all the way through the door. But I've seen the monster. And it's not just out there. It's inside people now. It's in the way they look at each other. Suspicious, wary, like everyone's a potential thief or a liar or a threat. You can feel it in the way folks talk. Short, clipped, eyes darting sideways. No one lingers in conversation. They say what they need to say and move on. Because every second you're standing still is a second someone might decide you're in the way. Still, there's something stubborn inside us. Something that keeps lighting fires in the dark. Not just literal ones. Emotional ones. Yesterday, a kid named Isaac, maybe 12, maybe younger, set up a stand on the corner of 3rd and Locust. Not for lemonade, not for food, but for jokes. Yeah, jokes. A hand-painted cardboard sign said, "One smile equals one story." I stopped by and gave him a smile. He grinned back and told me a story about a talking donkey who saved a town from a dust monster. Completely ridiculous. Made no sense. But I laughed. Out loud. And I hadn't done that in days. He handed me a small slip of paper with the words, "You smiled. That's worth more than money." I've got it in my shirt pocket now. Might laminate it if I can find some tape. We need more Isaacs. More people who believe that even in the middle of the end, we can still laugh. Still imagine something stupid and magical and harmless. Because when the world dies, the only thing worth keeping is whatever keeps us from becoming dead things walking around in skin. All right. Gotta sign off for now. The panels are charging, but the rig's overheating again. I'll be back later. Same voice, same dust-choked air, same stubborn heartbeat. This is Sean Barrett, still here, still watching the sky for rain that won't come. It's 9:12 p.m. now. I've got one lantern lit. The rest of the station is pitch black, the kind of black that feels like it's pressing in around your shoulders. It's quiet, even for here. No wind, no creaking. Just that dry, heavy silence that settles after the heat has burned everything clean. You'd think that would be a relief, but it's not. It's worse. At least when the wind blows, you feel like the world is still moving. But this stillness, it feels like the earth itself has stopped breathing. I'm sweating through my shirt, even with the fan running low. Doesn't do much but push warm air in circles. I've got a wet rag around my neck and a damp cloth under my feet. That's how we cool off now. Scraps and tricks and a lot of pretending it helps more than it does. I haven't had a proper bath in, I don't even know. The last time I poured water over my head was the night before the blackout. Since then, it's been sponge wipes and a quick rinse from a plastic jug if I'm lucky. You start to forget what clean feels like. I saw a dog today, or what used to be one. Skin and ribs and eyes too big for its head. It stood in the middle of the road, staring at a puddle that wasn't there. Licked the asphalt like it remembered what water used to taste like. I reached into my bag for a cracker to throw its way, but it bolted before I could. Spooked by my shadow. Even the animals don't trust us anymore. More and more houses are being boarded up from the inside. People aren't just afraid of the heat. They're afraid of each other. Every knock at the door now comes with a breath held, a hand on a handle, eyes peeking through a slit in the curtain. We're all ghosts now, walking through town like shadows, trying not to leave footprints. The ration board announced today they're cutting daily allowances again, 2 cups per person, down from 3. No explanation. Just a scribbled note posted at the library and another nailed to the power pole near the firehouse. No one argued. No protests, just quiet nods and quick glances. Everyone knows there's not enough to go around. We don't need to be told anymore. We feel it in our bones, our skin, our breath. I passed a man standing outside a gutted convenience store. He was holding a Polaroid photo up to the sun, turning it side to side like he was trying to make the light bring it back to life. I didn't ask who was in the picture. Could have been his wife, his kid, someone who left, someone who didn't make it. He didn't say a word, just kept staring at the photo until I passed him. There's a story going around that the river near Maxwell still has a trickle of water. People have been heading out that way with wagons and jugs, hoping to get lucky. I haven't seen it myself. No confirmation. But a woman named Jess came through this afternoon. Her arms sunburnt raw, shoes melted at the soles. Said she saw wet stones. Not flowing water, just wet. That's the standard now. Wet is a miracle. I gave her some bandages and half a biscuit from the pantry. She didn't ask for more, just nodded and kept walking. She was limping, dragging a metal cart with 2 plastic buckets clinking inside. I watched her disappear into the haze like a ghost, trying to remember where her body went. The sunrises have changed. They used to be gold, bright, hopeful. Now they come in dull orange and sickly red. I remember the way the sun used to peek through the trees outside my window. Now it just roars up over the horizon like a warning. A red eye opening, saying, "You made it through one more night. Let's see if you make it through the day." Some folks are talking about leaving, heading north, saying the lakes might still be wet up by Minnesota or Michigan, that the air might be cooler, that there might still be trees. I've heard this kind of talk before, and it always ends the same. Broken down cars by the roadside, tire tracks that vanish into dust, suitcases abandoned in ditches. There's no safety out there, just more miles of hot nothing. But I can't blame anyone for wanting to try. I think I understand it better now. When everything around you turns gray and empty, you start chasing any color you can find, even if it's just a rumor, even if it's just an idea that somewhere else might hurt a little less than here. I've been reading through some old letters I found in a drawer here at the station, from back when people used to call in and win concert tickets or get their names read on the air. Birthday announcements, song dedications, little notes from moms to their kids. One woman wrote in to say her husband was coming home from overseas and she wanted his favorite song played at 6 p.m. sharp. I found the date on the envelope. 1994. I don't know why, but I read that letter 3 times tonight. Something about it just held me in place, like it was written in a world I barely remember. A world where people cared about things like the right song at the right time. I wonder what happened to her. To him. If they made it. If they ever heard that song. Maybe that's the trick. Maybe we need to hold on to small things. Songs. Stories. Photos. Maybe those are the bricks we use to build something new after this is all over. If there's anything left to build on. I'll sign off for now. Power's low, and the battery's blinking like it's scared. I'll try to come back in the morning if the panels get enough charge. If the sky stays clear and the dust doesn't block the sun. I say if a lot lately. I don't like it, but I don't have another word to use. This is Sean Barrett. WRCK. Still here. Still hoping that someone, somewhere, still hears this voice in the dark. It's 6:28 a.m. The power came back on about 20 minutes ago, or what's left of it. The charge controller's running hot again, but the inverter flicked green for a few blessed seconds, and the hum of the station came back like an old friend, limping in from the dark. I'm running on low battery and low blood sugar. My last full meal was a can of green beans and half a granola bar, eaten by candlelight in the bathroom because it was the coolest place in the building. My stomach doesn't growl anymore. It just hurts, then stops, like it gave up on reminding me. I went outside before sunrise to check the sky, was hoping to see stars. I haven't seen a clean sky in weeks. Not since the ash rolled in from California. But even in the dark, it was just this thick brown soup overhead, a dome of smoke and heat and haze that makes it feel like we're living inside a sealed jar. The wind doesn't carry anything anymore. No freshness, no smell of rain, just grit and the strange electric taste of dust. It coats your teeth and makes your lips crack. I spit blood when I brush. That's just a thing now. I walked through the main strip again, past the old high school and the library and the shuttered gas station that still has faded posters for soda in the window. The faces on those posters look alien now. Smiling people with perfect teeth, holding up frosty drinks and laughing like they've never known heat. I stood in front of one for longer than I should have, just staring at it like it was a memory I'd forgotten I had. I wonder if they're still out there somewhere. Those models, those actors. I wonder if they made it out before the last freight train left town. Or if they're curled up in some broken room like the rest of us, clutching at air. Saw a man pushing a shopping cart full of plastic bottles. Not water, just bottles, empty ones. Some crushed, some torn. He wasn't even collecting them for water. I think he just wanted the plastic. For what? I don't know. Maybe to patch his roof. Maybe to build something. We're all scavengers now. Architects of trash. I passed him, and he nodded like we were both in on some secret joke neither of us found funny anymore. The board posted another ration adjustment last night. 1 cup of water per person, per day. That's it. Doesn't matter if you're sick, old, or 5 years old. 1 cup. That's the math now. That's the line we walk between function and failure. You can make it on that if you don't move too much, if you don't sweat, if you don't cry. I keep thinking about that. How crying wastes water. How even grief has become a luxury. You hold it in now, not for pride, for survival. Someone knocked on the station door yesterday afternoon. First knock I've heard in 3 days. I hesitated before answering. I think everyone does now. You listen first. You wait to see if there's a voice. A second knock. A weapon. You don't just open the door anymore. That's a fast way to disappear. It was a girl. 17, maybe. Thin as a shadow, with a mess of curls tied back by what looked like a shoelace. She didn't ask for food. She didn't ask for water. She asked if she could record her grandfather's story. Said he was in the war. Said he'd been telling it every day, like he was afraid to die with it still inside him. I let her in. Gave her 10 minutes of mic time and a recorder that still worked. She sat across from me and held it steady while her grandfather's voice came through the speaker, like gravel being poured over rusted nails. He talked about Korea, about freezing nights in a ditch with bullets over his head. Said back then, he thought nothing would ever be worse. Then he paused. Long enough I thought the feed cut. And he said, at least back then, we had winter. That hit me hard. We haven't had a real winter in 3 years. Just shorter summers and longer burns. Fires where snow used to be. I thanked them both. Didn't ask their names. Didn't ask where they were staying. They left as quietly as they came. After they left, I sat here for a long time with the lights off. just thinking about all the stories we're losing. People vanishing without their memories ever getting passed on. No funerals, no eulogies. Just bones and dust and whispers that won't reach anyone. That's what scares me more than death. That we'll be forgotten. That everything we were will fade like heat shimmer on the road. I think that's why I keep doing this. Why I keep talking. Not because I think I can fix anything, or save anyone, or even reach beyond a few static-filled miles, but because I want someone to remember. If not now, then later. If there is a later. I want a record. A voice in the dark saying, "We were here, we tried, we mattered, even when everything was falling apart." There's a boy named Matthew who started mapping the town, not with a computer, just a pencil and a stack of old junk mail. He draws what's still standing, what burned, what collapsed. He walks around with his maps rolled under one arm, marking where people live, where water still drips, where dogs were last seen. He's building a memory of this place while it still exists. I told him that mattered. He nodded like he already knew, like he wasn't drawing for us, but for someone who might come later, someone who might rebuild. I'll be back tonight, if the charge holds. The panels are dusted over, and one of the battery cables is showing wear. I'll patch it with copper wire I salvaged from a lamp. That's the kind of world this is now. One where your future depends on whether you remember how to strip wires with your teeth. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK. Still here, still breathing, still saying what needs to be said, even if the world's too tired to listen. It's just after 9 p.m. The sky outside looks like dried blood smeared across glass. The sunset came and went without fanfare. Just this dull red glow that faded into ash-colored dark. No stars again. No breeze. The kind of stillness that makes you nervous, like the air is listening, waiting. It's been a long day. The kind that feels like it stretched twice its size just to see if you'd make it through. I sat in the studio most of the afternoon, watching the inverter flicker and trying not to think about what I was running out of. Water, mostly. I'm down to the last jug from the stash behind the filing cabinet. I've marked it with a black X to remind myself not to open it unless I'm desperate. I guess desperate is a sliding scale now. It's not screaming or collapsing anymore. It's just staring at a sealed bottle for 3 hours straight, wondering how many sips are left before your vision goes blurry. I haven't seen Ray in 2 days. The oxygen machine's probably out of power. Or maybe he moved somewhere cooler. Or maybe he didn't move at all. I keep thinking I'll go check his place, but I never do. That's becoming a pattern. The longer this goes on, the harder it is to do things that don't directly feed or cool or fix something. Emotions feel expensive now, like I can't afford the energy to care the way I used to. That scares me a little. I saw a woman collapse in the street this morning. Face first. No warning. Just dropped like a sack of bones. No one rushed over. 2 people stopped, looked, then walked on. Not because they didn't care, but because they couldn't risk it. Touching someone now means risking sickness, heat stroke, dehydration, heat rash that gets infected and never heals. That's the thing. Every little problem becomes a big one fast. No bandages, no antibiotics, no hospitals with working AC or clean IVs. One scratch and you're on a countdown. The woman got up eventually, wobbled to her feet, and staggered toward the pharmacy ruins. I wanted to follow, to offer water or a hand or anything, but I didn't, and now I can't stop thinking about her. wondering if she made it, if she found what she was looking for, or if she was just walking for the sake of moving, because stopping feels too close to giving up. I talked to Denise again, the teacher running the library shelter. She's still holding it together somehow. Said they've started taking attendance in the mornings, like it's school again. Said it helps the kids remember their names, their routines, their sense of time. One little boy claps twice when his name is called. Another girl writes the date in the dust on the floor. Denise says those tiny rituals are saving lives. Not physically, maybe, but mentally. She said, the body can survive on little. The mind can't. She's right. We're not just losing food and water. We're losing structure. And without that, everything turns to noise. There's a man named Harlan living in an old RV near the edge of town. Used to be a mechanic. He's got solar panels duct taped to the roof and a windmill made from scrap metal and a bicycle rim. It barely spins, but it makes just enough current to run a fan and charge his radio. I went out there today, traded him a box of nails and some old coax cable for a cup of rice and a half-day's battery charge. He told me he's been collecting dead radios from abandoned houses, gutting them for parts, and rebuilding one working unit at a time. Says he's got 4 good receivers now. He's trying to make a network, just locals, just people within 30 miles. But it's something. He calls it the web. I smiled when he said that. A different kind of web. A slower one, but maybe stronger. He asked me what I think happens next. I didn't have an answer. I still don't. There's no roadmap for this. No manual for what to do when the planet just stops cooperating. We used to think of nature as this stable background, something we could rely on. We built cities on it, grew crops on it, bet our futures on the idea that the seasons would come and go in predictable order. But now nature feels like a stranger, like someone who used to be kind and suddenly turned cold and silent. The crops are gone. I don't think I've said that enough. The cornfields are brown skeletons. The soy turned to dust. Even the weeds are dying now. I saw a dandelion yesterday that looked like it tried to bloom, then gave up halfway through. The ground is so hot it cracks like glass when you touch it. Farmers aren't even trying anymore. The ones who didn't leave are just boarding up their barns and sitting in the dark with their heads in their hands. You can't farm with no water. You can't plant when the dirt crumbles in your fist. The grocery stores are empty. No trucks coming in. No fresh anything. What's left is being traded like gold. Flour, rice, beans. Sugar is practically extinct. Same with milk. Eggs are a story people tell their kids like fairy tales. Once, there were these white ovals that broke open and turned into breakfast. I found an old cereal box in the back room, still sealed. Frosted something. I don't even remember which brand. The picture showed a bowl of milk with colorful shapes floating in it. I stared at it for a while, like I was looking at a photo of someone who died. It felt unreal, bright, perfect, soft. A world that's gone now. There's a dog that's been following me around. Not close, just enough that I see it in the corner of my eye sometimes. Brown, skinny, one ear flopped down, the other half chewed. I think it's the same one I saw licking the street the other day. I haven't tried to feed it. I don't have enough for myself. But I talk to it sometimes. Just a whisper like, "You still there?" It doesn't answer, obviously. But it doesn't run either. We're 2 animals circling each other, trying to decide if we're still worth trusting. All right, I'm going to conserve the charge now. The inverter's whining again, and the fan just clicked off. I'll try to check in tomorrow morning. If the sun isn't too brutal. If the panels haven't cracked. If I can still speak. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK, North Platte. Still breathing. Still broadcasting. Still hoping somebody, somewhere still needs to know they're not the only one left. It's 6:41 a.m. I barely slept. The night heat is worse than the day now. No breeze, no release. It's like the world forgot how to cool down. I laid on the station floor with a soaked towel over my chest and just waited for sunrise. Not because I was excited to see the sun, but because at least the light gives you something to stare at when your thoughts won't shut up. There's a kind of madness that grows in darkness now. Not loud or dramatic. Just this slow, dull panic that creeps up your spine and whispers, "You won't make it." I'm drinking the last of yesterday's ration, lukewarm water from a peanut butter jar. It tastes like plastic and dust. I've tried to filter it through a bandana, but there's only so much you can do with cloth and faith. The library crew passed out bleach tablets a few days ago, but there aren't enough to go around anymore. I used one 2 nights back, and it made the water smell like a hospital. I drank it anyway. No choice. Someone broke into the courthouse last night. They didn't take food or water. There's none left there anyway. They took the ration board's ledgers, all the paper records of who got what, when, how much, where it came from. Some people are saying it was to hide corruption. Others think it was just someone trying to erase the evidence of their own desperation. Either way, no one knows now who's had what. So the board stopped giving anything out until further notice. "We must reassess our situation," the note said. That's politician speak for, "We're screwed, and we don't want to say it out loud." I walked around the east side of town this morning before it got too hot. The church on Lincoln Avenue had its doors open, but not for prayer. They're using the sanctuary as a sleeping hall. The pews are gone, burned probably, or broken down for barricades. People lay on the floor, arms across their faces, trying not to breathe too deep. The stained glass is broken in a dozen places, patched with bedsheets and cardboard. A painted image of Christ has a crack running down his face, like even he couldn't hold it together. There was a woman boiling weeds in an old soup can behind the church. She told me she found a patch of green sprouting near the old railroad fence. Said it looked like dandelion leaves. Might have been. Might have been poison too. Hard to say. She didn't care. Said the body needs something green, even if it hurts. I nodded. What else can you do? We've stopped making sense. Logic doesn't apply when your ribs are visible through your shirt and the sun makes your skin peel just by standing in it. I stopped by what used to be the elementary school. There are no more classes, of course, but there are still kids there. Playing, sort of. A group of them had lined up rocks in a circle and were pretending it was a cooking fire. One girl had a plastic spoon and was stirring dust in a cracked Tupperware container like it was soup. They were serious about it, focused, intense. Kids are strange like that. They survive in their own way, not by escaping the world, but by reimagining it. I watched them for a minute. It made my chest hurt. The kind of hurt that comes from knowing you can't protect something that pure. Denise showed up again today with more organization plans. She's trying to form something she calls the grid, a network of locations around town that check in with each other twice a day. Not via phone or radio, just runners, actual people, walking house to house, location to location, passing notes. It's slow, it's fragile, but it's something. She gave me one of the notes today. Said it came from a family on the outskirts. They found a broken water main that's leaking under a parking lot. Just a trickle, but they've started digging a basin around it. Lined it with plastic bags and duct tape. It's catching maybe a quart a day. Enough for one person to drink if they ration it to sips. I offered to put the word out over the radio, but she said no. Not yet. Said if word spreads too fast, people will swarm it and break it. That's how thin the trust is now. We don't even share good news, because good news attracts crowds, and crowds destroy things. I met a man named Jordan who started walking the perimeter of town every day. He carries a stick and a tin whistle and wears a vest made of cut-up tarp. He says he's watching for outsiders, not looters, just strangers. Says strangers make people nervous. Says people do dumb things when they're scared. He's not wrong. He told me last week someone chased a teenager out of town because they thought he was stealing from the library stash. Turned out the kid was just looking for a book. Not food, not water. Just something to read. They hit him anyway. Broke his lip. Sent him running. Jordan said he used to work in security. Said now he just walks because it gives him a reason to keep moving. I thanked him for looking out. He nodded and walked on. I watched him disappear into the heat shimmer like a figure in a dream. One more soul with a purpose, even if that purpose is just walking in circles. I haven't had a real shower in over 3 weeks. I miss the sound of water hitting tile. I miss the smell of soap. I miss cold. Just cold. The absence of heat. The relief of it. I can't remember the last time I was cold. I don't think any of us can. The battery's low again. Power cycle's shorter every day. I think one of the solar cells is cracked. I'll try patching it with reflective tape, if I can find some. I've got a spool of aluminum foil, but I'm not sure if that'll help or just make it worse. If you're still listening, if anyone out there still has a working radio, or a homemade receiver, or even just hope, keep going. One step, one sip, 1 hour at a time. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK, North Platte. I'm still here, for now. It's 7:03 a.m. The first light of day is already heavy, pressing down like a hand on the back of my neck. The thermometer says 90 degrees at 7 in the morning. I'm sitting here shirtless with a damp rag over my head, and it still feels like my skin's being cooked from both sides. I keep thinking, maybe today will be cooler. It never is. Each day just feels like the sun's moving closer. Like we're under a magnifying glass and someone's laughing somewhere we can't see. I went outside early, before the sun fully crested, just to breathe air that wasn't suffocating yet. I walked to the old baseball field behind the high school. Used to be full of noise in the summers. Kids running bases, parents shouting, that tinny music from the snack shack's cheap speakers. Now it's just weeds that dried up mid-growth, like frozen in place, and a dugout full of rusting soda cans someone left behind. The scoreboard's faded, and the glass is cracked in 2 spots. I stood there looking at it for a while, thinking about the last game I saw there. I think it was the Legion team, local kids, sweating through their hats, laughing like they had all the time in the world. It feels like a century ago. On the way back, I found a cracked garden gnome lying face down in someone's driveway. Its hat was broken clean off, its smile chipped into something that looked like pain. I don't know why, but I picked it up and brought it back to the station. It's sitting on the windowsill now, watching me talk. Maybe it's stupid, but it feels like I've got company. The ration board met again last night. Or maybe I should stop calling it the board. It's just 3 people now. Denise, an older guy named Robert, and a young woman I don't recognize. They announced there's less than half a tank of treated water left in the fire station. That's supposed to last the whole town until new solutions are found. No one believes there are solutions left. You could see it in the way people's faces tightened when she read the announcement. Not anger, just resignation, like everyone silently saying, Of course it's worse. It's always worse. I traded for a handful of crackers yesterday. Dry, stale, tasted like cardboard and dust. But I sat in the back room and ate them slowly, one by one, like they were the last feast I'd ever see. Funny how the mind works. You can convince yourself something's delicious if you just chew slow enough and imagine what it used to be. I haven't seen the little girl who was scraping water off the car windows. I keep looking for her when I walk by that alley. Maybe her family moved. Maybe she didn't make it. I try not to let my brain go there, but it does. Every time. I think about the smallness of her hands, the determination in her face. Kids shouldn't have to fight that hard just to drink. Harlan, the mechanic with the RV, came by the station this morning. He brought me a can of evaporated milk, said it was the last one he had, but he figured I'd need it more. I didn't even know what to say. I asked him why he'd give it up, and he said, "You're the voice. Without you, this place goes silent, and silence kills faster than thirst." I almost cried, but I swallowed it down. You don't waste water on tears. He told me he's rigging up a rain catcher with some gutter parts and a tarp. I didn't have the heart to tell him it hasn't rained here in over a month, maybe longer. Still, I like that he's trying, that he's betting on the sky. I saw a line of ants crawling across the cracked pavement outside the door this morning. Ants. I hadn't seen bugs in days. I crouched down just to watch them, like they were celebrities. They were carrying crumbs from some dead leaf into a hole under the curb. Even they looked tired, but they were working. Maybe that's a sign. Maybe not. The heat does strange things to the mind. I keep having moments where I think I hear laughter outside. But when I step out, there's nothing. Just the wind and the sound of dust scraping across metal roofs. I think it's memory playing tricks on me. Little ghosts of normal life rattling around in my head. If anyone is still listening to this broadcast, I want to tell you something I've been holding on to. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay to sit down for a while. It doesn't mean you're giving up. It just means you're human. We were never built to endure this kind of slow, grinding apocalypse. We were built for seasons, for change, for relief. None of that is coming now. Not from the sky, not from the earth. But we can still give it to each other. Denise told me a story last night. She said one of the kids at the library found a pack of crayons and started drawing rain clouds on the walls. Not neat little clouds. Big, wild ones. She drew them everywhere, overlapping, messy, with thick blue lines for water pouring down. When someone asked why, the girl said, "If I draw enough, maybe the sky will remember." I don't know why, but I believe her. Maybe that's how hope works now, through crayons and stubborn kids who don't know when to quit. I'll check in later tonight. For now, I need to save battery. The panels are giving me less charge every day, and I'm starting to wonder how much longer I can keep this up. But I'll keep trying, because silence is worse. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK, North Platte, still talking, still waiting for rain that doesn't come. It's 8:56 p.m. I'm sitting in the dark. The lantern ran out of juice an hour ago and the solar rig didn't pull much today. Too much dust on the panels. Or maybe the sky was just too thick again. Everything's been gray lately. Thick, heavy, suffocating gray. Like the whole world is stuck under a blanket nobody asked for. I've got one emergency light on, battery powered, barely aglow, and I'm saving the rest for a shortwave burst later tonight. Maybe I'll get through to someone. Maybe not. Most nights it's just hissing and pops and the occasional garbled whisper that might be from Missouri, or might just be my own brain feeding me ghosts. Earlier today, I sat by the back door and listened to the roof creak. It does that now. Every time the sun climbs high and bakes the metal flat, then the night tries to bend it back. That's the sound I fall asleep to. No lullabies, no fans, no hum of refrigerators or passing cars. Just an old building groaning under a sky that forgot how to forgive. The dog came back, the one with the torn ear. Showed up around midday, limping. It sat across the street and stared at the building for what must have been half an hour. I cracked the door, tossed out half a slice of stale bread. It didn't move for a long time. Then it walked over, picked it up, and disappeared again. Still no barking. Still no wagging tail. Just silence. Even animals know not to make noise anymore. I saw a couple of teenagers today riding bikes with no tires, just rims screeching on the pavement. They had rags tied around their mouths and shirts soaked through with sweat. One of them had a backpack full of what looked like plastic tubing and empty soda bottles. I asked them what they were doing, and the taller one said, "Building a cooler." I must have looked confused because he explained, said they were going to bury a box underground and run tubing through the cooler night dirt to make a passive fridge. Said he read about it in a book on ancient survival. I nodded and told him it was smart. Because it was. Kids are doing what adults forgot how to do, improvise without needing a guarantee it'll work. Most of us only moved when the odds were good. These kids are moving even when the odds are garbage. Because what else is there? The body of that woman I mentioned, she's gone. The one who collapsed in the street. Someone moved her. Or she got up. Or the heat finished the job and the city crews, what's left of them, cleared her away. Either way, there's a chalk outline there now. Not official, just a kid's drawing. White powder traced around where she fell. They added a flower, a dandelion, sketched in the corner. I don't know why, but that hit me harder than anything else today. The idea that someone looked at a death and thought, let's make it less ugly. That kind of tenderness feels rare now. Most people walk past the dead without looking twice. Maybe we have to. If you stared at every face, you'd never keep going. You'd stop and fold in half from the weight. The ration board announced a new plan today. They're calling it priority rotation. It means not everyone gets water every day. Some get it Monday and Thursday. Others Tuesday and Friday. They're trying to stretch a week's worth of water across 10 days. It's like asking someone to breathe every other hour. But they say it's the only way to avoid a riot. I don't know if it'll work. People are brittle. One more crack and the whole town might shatter. I passed a note to Denise. Told her I'd help however I can. She said there's talk of setting up water patrols, people guarding what little supply we have left. I asked her what happens when someone tries to steal from the main tank. She didn't answer, just looked away. I got the message. We're starting to talk about things we used to avoid. Violence, theft. What happens when rationing turns into hoarding? What happens when someone has a bucket and their neighbor doesn't? This is the slow part of collapse. The part no one warns you about. Not fires or explosions. Just quiet theft, quiet hunger, quiet rage. Someone's been spray painting messages on the walls downtown. Not graffiti, not art, just words. All caps, block letters. No help is coming. The sky lied. Do not drink from the river. You cannot eat hope. That last one stuck with me. I keep thinking about it. You can't eat hope. But without it, you don't move. You don't try. You just sit in the dark and wait. I don't want to end the night like that. So I'll tell you this. Today, an old woman I didn't recognize came to the station door. She was carrying a tin lunchbox and had a piece of cloth tied around her head like a bandana. I thought she was going to ask for water, but instead she handed me the box and said, "My husband was a ham operator. He kept these in case the world went quiet. Thought you'd know what to do with them." Inside were 2 pristine radio tubes and a sealed packet of copper wire. I almost cried. She just smiled and said, "Keep the voice going," and walked off into the haze. That's what I'm doing, keeping the voice going. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK North Platte. Still here, still running on scraps and stubbornness. It's 6:16 a.m. I barely slept again. The heat makes it impossible. My skin feels like old leather, and I can't tell anymore if I'm sweating or just slowly evaporating. The fan cut out around 3 a.m. when the inverter failed. The battery was too low. I laid there in the dark with my eyes open, listening to the sound of a building that feels more like a tomb every day. The sun's already creeping in through the window cracks, painting everything in that pale, sick color that doesn't feel like daylight. It's more like a warning. I used to love mornings. First coffee, fresh air, maybe bird song if I got lucky. Now it's just light that stings your eyes and heat that makes your lungs work harder. And no birds. Haven't heard one in weeks. Not a chirp. Not a wing. Just wind and dust and the creaking of this old place settling into itself like it's bracing for impact. I took a short walk earlier, just to the edge of the block and back. The silence is different now, heavier. It's not the absence of noise. It's the absence of living. No one's sweeping porches. No one's checking the mail. No kids biking by. You walk through town and you feel like you're underwater. Slow, pressured, detached. Like everyone is living behind glass, and if you tap too hard, the whole thing will crack. I saw 2 people arguing near the old pharmacy ruins, a man and a woman. Couldn't hear what it was about, but their body language said everything. She pointed to a bucket. He held it behind him. She tried to take it. He shoved her. She didn't fall. She just turned and walked away. I stood still until they both disappeared, and then I walked the long way home. I don't know what was in the bucket. Maybe water. Maybe scraps. Maybe just air. Doesn't matter. It was something, and right now, something is enough to fight over. Denise is still organizing shifts. She showed me a hand-drawn grid today. Names, locations, resources, walking routes. It looks like a war map. And maybe that's what it is. She says we have about 6 days left of clean drinking water in the town tanks if we keep rotating properly. But that's assuming no leaks, no theft, no accidents. And we all know how that goes. She also mentioned someone trying to siphon from the school reserve last night. Broke a lock, cut a hose. Didn't take much, but it caused panic. Now there's talk of guards, armed volunteers, patrols with sticks and rocks. I hate that word, guards. It feels wrong. Feels like the first domino in a line no one wants to admit exists. I asked Harlan if he thought things would get violent soon. He said, "No, not soon. Already did. It just hasn't gone public yet." I think he's right. I think people are already snapping in quiet corners, in locked rooms, in alleyways. They're just doing it quietly, like everything else now. The world's falling apart on mute. Still, I saw a moment today, a real moment. A man sitting cross-legged under an overhang, playing a harmonica, software low, just a single note pattern over and over. I stopped to listen, didn't want to interrupt. He played for maybe 5 minutes, then put it in his pocket and nodded at me. I nodded back. That was it. No words. But it mattered. It reminded me that not everyone has forgotten how to be human. The kids are still drawing. I walked by the library shelter, and the outside wall is covered in chalk now. Clouds, rivers, big blue raindrops with smiley faces. One kid wrote, "Rain is coming." All caps, just like that. No question mark, no doubt. Just a fact, written in pink chalk by a girl with a purple backpack and a face covered in dust. I don't know if she believes it, but I want to. More than anything, I want to. Someone passed me a rumor this morning, a woman named Bree, who helps with the school supply stash. She said there's chatter on the shortwave out of eastern Iowa. Something about a rain system. Not big, not wide, but real. She said they got 2 inches in some farm town no one's ever heard of. Enough to fill troughs, soak into soil, run off rooftops. She said the people there started crying when it hit the ground. Real tears, like they forgot how their own bodies worked until water reminded them. I asked if it was true. Bree shrugged. Might be, might not. Then she said, "But I heard the word rain again, and that's enough for me today." It was enough for me too. All right, I need to conserve what little charge I've got. The backup panel is cracked and I've got no way to replace it. I'm running on hope and junk wires, but I'll check in tonight. Maybe there'll be more rumors. Maybe there'll be clouds. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK, North Platte, still watching the sky. It's 9:11 p.m. It's hot again. I don't know why I keep saying that like it's news. It's always hot. That's just how it is now. But somehow, every night, I find myself sitting here, noticing it again, like it's a fresh insult. Maybe because part of me still expects the air to cool when the sun drops. It doesn't. It just gets quieter. The wind dies. The buildings sweat. And the sky just hangs there like a dead bulb. I don't have much power tonight. The panels are giving me less and less, and I used more than I should have earlier, running a check on the backup inverter. Didn't help. Still flickers when I run anything over 2 amps. So I'm sitting here in the near dark with just enough juice to send this out. If it cuts off mid-sentence, you'll know why. There's more ash in the air tonight. I think something's burning again out west. You can smell it. Bitter and sharp, like melted plastic and pine needles. But there hasn't been a real pine tree in miles. I think it's just memory in the wind. Burning fences, old furniture, walls. It's the smell of people giving up pieces of their homes just to boil water or keep a kid from freezing at night. I walked down past the train yard today. Not because I had a reason, just because I needed to move. My legs ache from sitting so much. You don't realize how little you move until you try and your muscles start complaining like they've been forgotten. The yard was empty, tracks rusted, weeds growing between them like slow fingers reaching up. A train engine was still sitting there, half sunk into the gravel like it gave up too. I climbed up into the cab. Dust everywhere. Buttons faded, seats torn. Someone had written a message across the windshield in the grime. It said, "Where to now?" 3 words. No punctuation. Just that. I didn't have an answer. Still don't. I think about leaving sometimes. Heading north. Everyone says the same thing. Michigan, Canada, somewhere colder, somewhere wetter. But leaving means walking. And walking means food, water, shelter. None of which I have enough of. And besides, who's to say it's better up there? What if it's worse? What if all that's waiting is more dust and dead roads and people with empty hands and hard eyes? I think that's why most of us stay. Not because we think it'll get better here, but because we're afraid it's bad everywhere. And at least here, we know the rules, we know the sounds. We know who's still breathing and who stopped showing up. Saw Denise this evening. She looked tired. She's been holding everything together with a clipboard and willpower, and it's wearing her down. She said the school tanks are dry. The library barrel has maybe a day's worth left. The fire station is being guarded now. 2 men with sticks and flashlights, one with a pistol he swears only has 1 bullet. I asked her what happens when it runs out. She didn't answer. Instead, she handed me a folded note and said, "Read this later. I haven't opened it yet. I will. I'm just not ready to know what's inside. Some part of me is afraid it's a goodbye. Or worse, a plan." There was a fight today over water. 2 men outside the general store ruins. One had a jug. The other wanted it. It didn't last long. Just a shove, a fall, a sharp crack of bone. The jug split. Water spilled into the dirt. Neither of them got it. I stood there and watched it soak into the ground. It disappeared in seconds. I wanted to scream, not at them, at the ground, at the sky, at the way everything just takes and gives nothing back. A kid came by the station this afternoon, said his name was Eli. 11, maybe. He had a belt wrapped around a solar charger and a notebook full of doodles. He asked if I had any batteries. I gave him 2 that might still have some life left. He said thank you, then gave me a drawing. It was a picture of a radio tower with a smiling sun above it, and the words, "You're still here," written in block letters. I've got it taped to the wall now, next to the map, next to the bottle with the X. I needed that. Sometimes I think about what I'll say if this is the last broadcast. If tomorrow the signal dies, or the roof gives in, or my voice gives out. What's the last thing I'd want the world to hear from me? I think it's this. I remember. I remember what it was like before the silence. I remember laughter, music, cold drinks, shoes that didn't melt on the pavement. I remember conversations that didn't feel like confessions. I remember kindness that wasn't a risk, and I believe, maybe foolishly, maybe desperately, that somewhere, someone still knows how to bring that back. I've got enough charge for a few more minutes. I'll be back in the morning, if the sun cooperates and the battery holds. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK, North Platte, still holding the line. It's 6:58 a.m. I'm sitting here with a cracked cup of boiled water, watching the sun climb up over what's left of the water tower. The lights bouncing off the rust and making it look gold, but it's not. It's just metal that's been forgotten. That's a theme lately. Things that used to matter, sitting in the heat, being erased by time and dust. The inverter cut out again last night. I spent half the dark trying to rewire it with copper scraps and prayer. I don't know how much longer I can keep patching this thing. It buzzes like it's nervous, like it knows it's one spark away from quitting. But it's still working this morning, still letting me speak. That's something. I finally opened the note Denise gave me, sat with it all evening before I did. It wasn't a goodbye, not exactly. It was a request. She's trying to put together a meeting. No rules, no officials, just whoever's still standing. She wants to talk about after, not survival, not rations, but what we become if we live through this. I didn't know what to say, still don't, but I told her I'd show up. That's happening tonight, in the library, under dim light, and with whatever chairs they haven't burned for firewood. I don't know what good talking does anymore, but maybe just saying things out loud is a kind of defiance. I passed by a garden yesterday. Not a real one. Just a couple of buckets lined up behind a boarded-up cafe. Someone's growing beans. The plants are struggling, leaves yellowed and curled. But they're alive. A single green pod was hanging off the side of one stem. I stopped and just looked at it for a while, like it was art, like it was a miracle. I didn't touch it. Didn't want to disturb the only thing I've seen grow in weeks. Harlan's windmill finally gave out. He came by to let me know. Said the blades just snapped off in a gust. He didn't seem angry, just tired. Said he might try building another if he can find decent scrap. He asked me if I knew anyone with spare bearings or fan motors. I didn't. Not anymore. But he also said something else. Said he's been getting faint signal from the east, just static and fragments. But it's something. A call sign maybe. Maybe a weather station. He said the word precipitation came through clear. Once. Just that one word. Then, silence. I asked if he thought it was real, or if the radio was playing tricks. He smiled and said, "Doesn't matter. I'm choosing to believe it." I envy that kind of faith. I passed a man dragging a piece of metal siding down the road. He didn't look at me, just kept walking, pulling it behind him like a sled. I don't know what he planned to do with it. Maybe roof patching, maybe a shelter, maybe trading. No words were exchanged, just the sound of scraping metal on hot pavement. It rang through the street like a bell. That's how people talk now. Through actions, noises, presence. I haven't seen the girl who drew the clouds in a couple days. Her chalk drawings are still there, though. Faded, smudged, but visible. Someone added to them. More clouds. A sun peeking out. One said, "Maybe tomorrow." I hope she's still here. I hope her hands aren't too tired to draw. The town feels smaller. Not just quieter, but smaller. Like the walls are closing in. Fewer people out. Fewer windows cracked. Everyone conserving. Energy. Effort. Emotions. We ration smiles now. We ration eye contact. Because everything we give is something we can't easily replace. I've been thinking about the old days a lot. I don't mean decades ago. I mean 5 months ago. When the worst thing I worried about was whether the morning playlist had too many slow songs. When I drank cold orange juice without thinking. When I had the luxury of ignoring bad news because I assumed someone else was handling it. We were all so good at assuming. And now we know. No one was handling it. No one was steering the ship. We were all just passengers, tapping at our screens, waiting for updates that never came. And now here we are. There's still no sign of the dog, the one with the torn ear. I keep a crust of bread by the door just in case. It's moldy now, but I haven't thrown it away. That's what hope looks like now. A stale piece of bread waiting for a shadow that may never return. I'll be back tonight after the meeting. If the rig holds, if my voice does, I'll tell you what was said. What people believe is still possible. Until then, keep moving, even if it's just from one side of the room to the other. Keep thinking. Keep noticing the things that haven't died yet. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK North Platte. Still here. It's 9:38 p.m. The meeting is over. I'm back in the station. The lights are off, and I'm talking to you with nothing but the dim hum of battery power keeping this transmission alive. My hands are shaking a little. Not from fear, just from the weight of everything I heard tonight. There were maybe 15 of us. Denise was there, of course. Robert, too. A few kids, a few of the older folks, and one man I hadn't seen before. Tall, wiry, missing 2 fingers on his left hand. Said he used to run a tow service out of Ogallala. Said he walked here. Took him 11 days. I didn't ask what happened along the way. He didn't offer. The meeting wasn't organized. Not really. Just people sitting in a half circle, trying to find words that didn't feel hollow. Denise opened by asking a question. What do we want to become if this is the new normal? No one answered at first. Because how do you answer that? You're still trying to figure out if you'll have drinking water tomorrow. You're still boiling leaves and dreaming about cold fruit. Thinking about survival makes sense. Thinking about what comes after. That's like planning a house when you're still lost in the forest. But then someone spoke. A woman named Cassie. I didn't know her before this. She's been living in the old dentist's office, apparently. She said, I don't want to become someone I wouldn't recognize if I looked in a mirror. That's what I want to avoid. It was quiet after she said that. And then the man from Ogallala nodded and said, That's already started. We're not talking to each other anymore, just scanning each other for weakness. Someone else, a boy, maybe 17, said he saw his neighbor take food from an abandoned house, and he didn't say anything. I just let it happen, he said. I didn't want the neighbor to see me seeing him. I didn't want to become a part of it. And there it was, that word, become, not survive, become. That's the line we're all walking now, because surviving means bending. But becoming, that's different. That's about who you are when no one's watching. When everything's broken, when the rules are gone. I sat there and listened. I didn't speak for a while. I didn't know what to say that hadn't already been said in the cracks of their voices, in the way their shoulders sagged. But when Denise looked at me, I knew I had to say something, so I told them this. I think we still have a choice. Not about the weather, not about the crops or the water or whether this ends. I don't think it does end, not like we imagined. But we still have a choice about whether we vanish quietly or leave behind something that says we were here. Something that isn't just bones and rust. Something human. No one clapped. No one cheered. But I saw a few heads nod, and that was enough. After that, people started talking about ideas. Actual ideas, not just fears. Someone said we should start keeping a shared journal, pages passed from hand to hand, written in by whoever has something to say. Someone else suggested creating a new map, not just of the town, but of people. Who's left? What they know? What they can teach? Cassie offered to gather stories, oral ones, sit with people and just listen. Record what they remember, not just of now, but of before. She said, the past isn't gone until we forget it. The boy who saw his neighbor stealing? He said he wanted to teach kids how to fix bikes. Said he used to love doing that. Said maybe it's still worth knowing. No one had big dreams. No one talked about rebuilding power grids or restarting factories. Just small things, human things, words, maps, memories, fixing what can still move. That's where we are now. and maybe that's where we need to be. After the meeting, I walked home with Denise. We didn't talk much. Just the sound of our footsteps and the faint buzz of an insect that hasn't figured out it's supposed to be extinct. When we reached the library steps, she stopped and said, "We might not be able to stop the collapse, but we can stop ourselves from collapsing with it." Then she went inside. I stood outside for a while, watching the sky. No stars, of course. Just haze and red glow from some fire far away. But I stared anyway, because some habits are worth keeping, even when the world forgets why. If you're listening, and I still hope someone is, know this. We're trying. We're tired. We're cracked. But we're still trying. And sometimes, that's enough to keep the walls from falling in. I'll be back in the morning. If the batteries hold. If my voice does. This is Sean Barrett. WRCK, North Platte. Still awake. Still thinking. It's 6:03 a.m. I didn't sleep last night. Not even for a minute. I tried. Shut off the equipment. Lay down on the floor with a damp rag over my chest like always, but my eyes wouldn't close. My skin itched like the air was full of glass, and every time I blinked, I saw the fire on the horizon. It wasn't close, not yet, but it was real. A red flicker in the far west sky, pulsing like a dying star. We're not sure where it started. Some say it's from the dry plains near Paxton. Others say someone lit tires near the river bend to boil off water. Doesn't matter. It's burning, and the wind is heading our way. A slow push. Not a panic yet, but close. I can feel it in the way people walked this morning, quicker, tighter, heads down like they were counting each step. The air smelled like plastic when I stepped out an hour ago. Thick, heavy, not wood smoke, not natural. This is the smell of the man-made world catching up to us. Paint, carpet, rubber, old siding. I wiped my eyes twice before I even got to the main road. They're still stinging. Robert and Denise are setting up a watch rotation for the west perimeter. Not with weapons, just with binoculars and a whistle. If the fire crests the hills, we'll have maybe 2 hours to move. That's if the wind doesn't shift. If it does, we're down to half that. No one's packed. No one's ready. You'd think we would be by now, but the truth is, most people still live like maybe tomorrow will be normal again. Like they'll wake up and the power will be back and the faucets will run cold. So they stay, they sit, they wait. And I don't blame them. Moving means losing what little you have. Moving means walking into heat with no map and no guarantee there's anything on the other side, but more silence. But I've started packing. Just a little. My notebook, some wire, the radio parts the old woman gave me, the bottle with the X, a cracked photo of my sister and me at the lake when we were kids. I don't know why I grabbed it. Maybe because it's proof we used to live in a world that had water. Someone broke into the storage locker by the train yard last night, took a sack of beans and half the solar lamps. Denise didn't even look surprised when she told me. She just sighed and said, "At least they didn't set the place on fire." That's how low the bar is now. Not relief, just smaller disasters. The teenager who said he wanted to fix bikes, he's actually doing it. I walked past the old tire shop and there he was, elbows deep in grease, surrounded by 3 busted bikes, and a little girl watching him like he was magic. I stopped and asked if he needed anything. He said, tubes, patches, oil, and more time than I've got. but he smiled when he said it. I found that strange. I haven't seen many real smiles lately. Most are just stretched lips, empty of joy. But his was real. Tired, but real. Maybe it's because doing something, anything, feels better than standing still. I asked if he thought it was worth it, fixing bikes in a town with nowhere to go. He said, "They don't have to go far, just away from here, just fast enough." That stuck with me, because he's right. Sometimes a bike isn't about travel, it's about escape. Someone tried to start a rumor today, said the fire's being set on purpose, said there's a group moving east, clearing towns, pushing people out, burning what's left behind, said they've got masks and fuel tanks and a map. No proof, just words, just fear. I told him to stop spreading it unless he had names. He shrugged and walked off. That's the thing. Rumors grow in dry places. And right now, everything's dry. I've been watching the cracks in the pavement outside the station. Every morning they're a little wider, like the ground is splitting open, trying to swallow the town whole. I don't know what's under there anymore. We built everything on top of soil that doesn't breathe. Now it's just hollow. Last night, I saw someone lighting candles in the windows of the old community center. No electricity, no real reason, just tiny points of light, one in each window, lined up like teeth in a broken smile. I don't know who did it, but I stood there for 20 minutes staring at them, just grateful for the warmth of it, for the decision to light something instead of break something. I don't have answers this morning. I never do. I just have moments. Bike grease, candles, plastic smoke. The sound of a fire we haven't seen yet, but know is coming. I'll keep you updated. If the fire shifts, I'll broadcast. If the wind turns, I'll say so. And if I go quiet, you'll know why. This is Sean Barrett, WRCK, North Platte, watching the horizon, holding the line.